Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Math with Mr. W. Today's discussion is all about slope of a line. And, I really love discussing the idea of slope. It's not easy to get. It's not something that everybody understands first off. But if we use our little friend here, I think it's going to make it a little bit easier. So let's try and do that. So here's our little friend. We'll call him Maxie. So Maxie is our little friend, and he's walking along the x-axis. That's where Maxie is. He's heading along the x, and you'll notice he's moving in a positive direction. Now, slope, which we use the small letter M for, and all my students always ask, why did they use M? How come they didn't use S? Well, they didn't. It's M. M is slope. And it's the change in y. That is the change, the vertical change. So y2 minus y1 divided by the change in x. So it's a ratio of two things. How y changes as x changes. Now, what we can simply state is that, let's say x is always moving this way, kind of a positive kind of guy. And he's moving along the x-axis. And I don't know where he is along the x-axis, but he's moving along the x-axis. And he comes to this hill. He comes to a hill. Now, what's going to happen when he comes to that hill? Well, he's going to have to climb. But what's going to change? What is going to change? What changes are we going to make? We're talking about changes, okay? We're still moving in a positive direction for x, but we're also going to start moving in a positive direction for y. And before this, x was moving, but y wasn't moving anywhere up or down. It was zero. So he was on a level surface. So it was zero over some value, let's call it k. And when you divide something into zero, we always end up with 0. So the slope right along here is 0. But now what happens when I get going this way? Turn along, and now my y value is a positive value because I'm going up. Maxie is still chugging up the hill. Maxie is still going this way. But he's kind of climbed the hill, and it's positive for Maxie. So plus. That means this is a positive slope. So when you see a line that goes from the lower left to the upper right, the slope is positive. So you can observe a positive slope without figuring out any math about it. Now, he gets to the top up here, takes a deep breath because things start to get level for a while. And he's back on the level. Maxie's back on the level. So here's our friend Maxie again. There's our friend Maxie. He's now up here, but he's back on the level again. So what's his slope now? Yeah, it's 0. It's up there 0 because he's on the level. Okay? But now, what happens when he gets to here and things start moving down? Okay, so he's moving down. So things are moving down. Of course, everything Max is doing, he's still going in the same direction. So the x movement, the x direction this way, is still getting positive. It's getting larger in the x direction. It's going positive. But what's happening with the y? It's going down. So he's got a change in y is negative over a positive. Well, that's a negative slope. That's a negative slope. So we have a negative slope. So it's a line that goes from the upper left down to the lower right is a negative sloped line. Now, we move over a little further, put our friend Maxie on the level, and he's walking, and now he's on a slope that we can call 0 again. And now what happens when he gets to the edge? And our line becomes vertical. What happens when our line becomes vertical? Our x is not going to change, is it? Our y is going to change because it's going down or it's going up. Right? It's going down or up. But x isn't changing. So we're going to get some value k over 0. But I can't do that. You can't do that. That's undefined. And if that's undefined, I have no slope or undefined slope. So a vertical line is undefined in way of slope. You don't have slope. Imagine you're falling off a cliff. Think of the Roadrunner and Coyote. Who's the guy was all after him? Coyote and Roadrunner? The coyote runs out and he's running too fast and he runs off the cliff and he's 30 feet off the cliff before he looks down and goes, oh no. Down he goes. No slope. There's no slope there. That's a good way to remember vertical lines have no slope. So, level line has a slope of 0. It's like walking on the level. When you're lower left to the upper right, positive slope. Next, we have a 0 slope again, and then now we're coming down, but our y is in negative, but our x is still positive, isn't it? So, what do we have? Negative slope. So we have negative slopes doing this, positive slope doing this, and we have no slopes when it's vertical. So we have 4 choices. 0, positive, negative, undefined. So give your students a test. Give them 4 graphs. Have them draw 4 lines, 4 distinct lines with 4 different slopes. And let them tell you which is positive, which is negative, which is undefined, and which is 0. Have them make sure they know that slope being 0 is okay because it's a value. 0 is a value. It's a number on the number line. It's an integer. It counts. Have fun. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your year. And I'll see you next time on Math with Mr. W.